Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel,
I'm Adan.
and this is our sensational review of Rogue One.
I wanted to
Well,
go danger, danger, but that's Lost in Space.
so, guys, before our review, check our description below if you want to save money in either gas, groceries, or when you go out to eat at a restaurant. It's not our sponsor, but we like to try to help each other out when we can. Spoilers, by the time of this review, Andor is about to premiere on Disney Plus. They're airing the first three episodes, I think.
Okay.
And Andor is actually named after the main character.
Andor?
Yeah, that's his last name.
That's like, okay. You're not going to get this reference, but for those who do watch us, probably will get this reference. That's like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta is named after the planet Vegeta, who is also the king Vegeta.
Well, how about this? I totally forgot that Andor was his last name. I thought Andor was a place. Cool.
I thought Andor was a place too. I thought that was like the planet Andor.
I just watched Rogue One, and they called him Cassian a lot. They didn't call him Andor. Oh, when they introduced him to Jin Urso, that's when he hears his last name. So for some reason, I totally forgot. I was like, oh, okay, that named after him. Got it. But anyway, I personally love Rogue One. To me, Rogue One is the true prequel of the Star Wars universe. I take the George Lucas prequels down the garbage. Even though it's canon, the Clone Wars, Rebels, and Rogue One all fit for me. They're prequels to the OTs, the original trilogy.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, first of all, I just Googled double check us. Andor and Endor. That's why we kept getting confused because Endor is the Force planet, and then
Right.
there's
That I know.
Andor is the guy. So that's why I kept getting
Right.
confused.
Hopefully, there's no Ewoks here.
I don't know. That could be, but uh, I agree. Like Rogue One, Rebels, the Star Wars Clone Wars series all did a great job of actually connecting the prequels to the original trilogy. And
No, no, mine was that these Rogue One,
uh,
Rebels, and the Clone Wars are the true prequels.
oh,
I cannot stand the original episode one, two, and three. I cannot. I cannot watch it.
well,
Even though
technically,
I
I mean, in essence, you could. The way they did the Stone Wars, the Star Wars Clone Wars series, you could technically watch the Clone Wars series without watching the prequels, and then that
no, of course.
transitions beautifully into
Oh, yeah.
um, Rogue One, and then Rebels would transition into New Hope.
Granted, in Clone Wars, like episode three, you don't see the temptation and the trickery from Palpatine to
Directly,
Anakin. You don't see it directly. You see it here and there
but it's
through the
mostly
animated series,
yeah.
the Clone Wars. But again, you don't really like. For me, I don't care how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. I don't need to see that.
They did a better job on
He
the
is not the
series, though.
chosen one. They did. Oh, they absolutely did. But to me, he is not the chosen one. Luke is the chosen one. You don't think Luke's the chosen one? Fine. Ray is the chosen one. She turns out to be the chosen one, the true chosen
I
one.
mean, the argument could be
And
said that Darth Vader was the chosen one because they just said he'd bring balance to the Force, not
not
that he
Darth
would.
Vader, Anakin.
Anakin, yeah, but you can argue that they're one and the same. He just denied who he was, but he still brought balance to the Force. The Force was very lopsided. I mean, by the time Anakin was found, there's the Sith were almost on the extinction. They were on the out. The Jedi Force was overpowering. They were on par with the Senate in many different ways, other than the fact that they didn't want to act on certain things. But it was lopsided. So he came in. He's like, I'm cleaning house because of his actions. He cleaned house.
Mm,
Again, the argument could be there.
But I can argue against that because
and then he killed the Emperor.
The thing is, when Vader came in, when the Empire developed, right, and the Jedi was almost all but extinct, you had the rise of the Sith. Yes, you have the master and the apprentice, but Vader was not really an apprentice. He was considered a master. So you have two masters. And then you have the Inquisitors, who are like Sith Lords themselves.
They're taught to a certain extent, but they're not Sith Lords.
But they kind of are in a way. They're the foot soldiers.
Yeah,
of the Sith. So
they have potential, but they're not like there, to be honest.
Right, but the thing is, they're having the off balance of the Sith now of being greater than the Jedi, and Luke comes in and dismantles the Empire with the destruction of the Death Star, and then getting his father to kill Palpatine. You can argue that as well. But for me, with Rey, and again, you can believe it or you can take it or not, but for me, I always look at the concept of when Yoda in Empire, when Luke goes back, right, leaves Dagobah, Obi-Wan is telling Yoda, it's like, he is our only hope. Yoda closes his eyes. And they say when he closes his eyes, he can see the future. When he does that and he says, no, there's another. We thought the other was referring to Leia, because we later find out that in return that she is actually the sister.
Yeah.
Right. But during Empire, no one knew that Leia and Luke were together. Okay. Not even George Lucas, because they kissed twice in Empire. Anyway, I'm taking the. No, she kisses him after she rescues him from Cloud City.
Yeah.
He's on the bed laying down. She kisses him and goes back to the cockpit.
Oh, that's even more awkward now.
Yeah, because it's not once, it's twice. But she actually kissed him 3 times.
But when you think about that, like that's after he finds out that Vader is his father. Also, oh. He still didn't know that she was
a sister.
Yeah, but still. Oh.
She kissed him 3 times. One in A New Hope on the cheek, I believe. And then twice in Empire. But anyway.
Cheek don't count.
Yoda can see the future. He's seeing actually Rey. This is how I see it. This is how it makes sense to me.
Okay.
That he can see so deep in the future that he knows who is the one that can save or create the balance. Who is the other one? If Luke fails, we have this to look forward to. Like, she is the backup plan. And so that's how I say that. I mean, I don't know how the premise of The Force Awakens, how the new trilogy came out, but this is how I see it and how it goes. But anyway.
Now you know what Yoda couldn't see?
What?
The clutch film that was Rogue One. Segue.
Rogue One, again, to me, the truest prequel film to date. Now coming with a series, coming out with his own prequel, if you will, because Andor, the new Disney Plus series, takes place prior to Rogue One. How the rebellion starts to solidify, how Andor, Cassian, gets involved deeper. So we get to see that. Forrest Whitaker come back as Saul Guerrero, excuse me, who was a character we saw in the Clone Wars, we saw in Rebels. So it's great to see that tie-in even more so, his involvement, how he got a little more extreme. Because we saw that happening in the Clone Wars. We saw that happening in Rebels. Him getting extreme And hopefully
Yeah,
now we'll see he gets further into it, because this is supposed to be a 2 season series and
they okayed
multiple
it for 2
episodes.
seasons.
Yes,
Ooh, okay, that's like the
yes,
first.
right. And I know the first season is like a lot of episodes. I don't remember how many episodes it's going to be, but I know it's a lot. What's cool about this, where I thought is genius in the sense of how Rogue One came about, was because someone in ILM brought up the story of on how the rebellion got the Death Star plans.
Well, I mean, and that was the thing I was going to talk about because I remember when Rogue One first came out, and like they were discussing about Rogue One, and I was like, no one asked for this movie. No,
Oh
no,
no.
yeah, no. It's like we all know how it's going to end. We know what happened to Rogue
Mm-hmm,
One.
mm-hmm.
No one
Right.
was really, no one I
No,
know.
no, no, no one know. Well, it is said real quick in A New Hope when
Yeah,
one of the generals is going over the plans, like how they got the plans.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
you're
was.
correct on that sense.
It's a side story that
This
no
is
one
yeah,
was really questioning, or at least everybody I talked to at the time were like, "Yeah, I had no interest in going like, what? How did they get those plans? Like, we all knew people died, but like, really, what went down?" No one said that in my circles. I am happy to say that it's like one of those films that it's a film that no one wanted, but
happy they got.
happy we got. Although I do know people that didn't like Rogue One, and
Oh, I know, I know.
yeah,
I know some people too. They swear that it's crap and it makes no sense and why they all had to die. And it's like that's what makes it so great. They are the Dirty Dozen.
yeah,
They are the Magnificent Seven, where like the heroes die at the end. They don't make it. They are the true Suicide Squad.
yeah. And let's be
You know?
honest, the plan was not to die, but
No.
they ended up that way because they're like, it's better to get the plans out than escape. That was the whole
Well, no,
idea.
yeah, they sacrifice themselves because the plans
Were that important?
was much bigger than them.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that because it's the same year as Suicide Squad came out,
Wow.
and I remember seeing Suicide Squad because I came out first, and I
Mhm.
was like, "This is crap." And let's be honest, it's crap. And then I saw Rogue One, and I was like, "Damn it, this is the true Suicide Squad."
And well, technically, the original Suicide Squad that you're talking about with Wolf, or I was about to call him
Will
Warfire.
Smith. That's what
Will
I'm talking
Smith.
about.
Yeah, only one person died, maybe two died in that Suicide Squad group. I don't
Well,
count I don't
some
count
Native American.
I don't count the Hangman guy.
If you get your head blown off, doesn't mean you didn't commit suicide.
He did.
You
Yeah, he
know,
didn't. He
I
didn't
mean,
die for. He
unless
didn't die for the mission. These people
right,
died for the mission.
correct. So, what I love about this also, I mean, I love this movie on so many aspects. You know, I'm a stickler to continuity. I'm a stickler to authenticity. If you're going to tell it right. Don't make a movie of the past during the future or in the future.
I know what you're talking
Here,
about.
the hairstyle, the lamb chops, the somewhat of the cinematography sometimes looks dated as well.
The equipment.
The clothing, yes, equipment as just how it was when they shot A New Hope, or similar to that
Yeah.
factor.
Well, when you look at the
There's only
spaceships in Rogue One, they look like they fit with New Hope, rather than like if you watch the prequels and they're like, oh, there was a 50-year difference or a 20-year difference or whatever. 20 years does not regress technology. Like when you watch the original, the prequels, that
wait.
everything,
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
everything looks shiny and new.
And doing more.
Yeah.
And people say, well, or George like made the excuse, well, the Empire took away so much because then they had so little. I was like,
Yeah, but
that's
the Empire
bullshit.
would have kept that
No,
stuff. They wouldn't have been like,
right.
let's make our technology worse. No.
This is what I love about it. And then you have some characters again from the prequels. You have Bel Organa. He makes an appearance. Mon
Mm-hmm.
Mothma. You have not it's a trap. The other guy,
Akbar,
calamari.
Admiral
No, it's not
Akbar.
Akbar. He's not in it. I
Oh
know, but
wait.
he's not in it. Not in this one. There's another one.
Oh
You have like the connection or reference to A New Hope in many ways. Like when we are introduced to Grand Tarkin at the round table, when they're talking about the Death Star and all that stuff, right?
yeah.
There's a chair empty there. And that's meant for the engineer, Orson Krennic. There's an empty chair that's supposed to be next to Tarkin.
Okay.
He's dead at the end of Rogue One. So, and New Hope, he's not there.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of references. So I like how they use, again, A New Hope, which they do, they should, rightfully so, use that focus point where they use it, or not focus points, but as blueprints
Yeah.
to help tell the story of Rogue One. And I love the fact that there's very little Jedi in this.
There's no
Now
Jedi.
you can, that's actually true. You're right. There's
They,
Sith.
they,
There's no Jedi.
There's Sith, no Jedi. They actually discuss about this Jedi a lot. Like there's one point where I thought Donnie Yen, which I love Donnie Yen in this.
Oh my God.
And I honestly, that was a big loss because I would have loved to see him come back as a character. But
No, but it would have taken away. But
I understand what you mean.
I
It would have
mean,
took away, but and like if they did a prequel
everyone's
to Rogue One and he came back as a character again, I would have been like, yes, he was a fantastic character. Like him with the other dude,
oh yeah,
who was like basically the armored juggernaut. Like,
right,
he's like, I was like, are you a Jedi? He's like, no, but I believe in the Jedi. He's like, in the Force, I'm
well
one with
yeah,
the Force.
he
And the
was
Force is
like
one with me.
right. He was more like they said what he was.
He's like a believer or zealot of the Jedi.
Right.
Yeah. But basically, for
But
for those who don't know, Donnie Yen played arguably a blind monk. Like he was
well,
a believer in the Jedi Force.
he was the Zatuichi of the Star Wars universe.
Pretty much, because even though he was blind, man could kick ass. He just
Right,
didn't use a
just like
sword; he used his
Zatuichi.
staff. Yeah,
And do you know that there's in the scene where they're all taken to see Saul, and they're putting hoods on top of them to cover the hide the whereabouts. Donnie Yen says, "Are you kidding? I'm blind." That was improv.
yeah,
That's awesome because that
and they
makes
kept
total
it.
sense. Yeah, because it makes sense. Now, you went in the head of one of my favorite scenes,
Bye-bye.
and that was with Donnie Yen when he takes down the stormtroopers. The guy is so freaking charismatic when he fights. He's so theatrical
really
with it. And yeah, and so smooth. He's like the favorite thing for me in the live movie adaptation of Mulan. He's the only thing. Everything else sucks. But when he's in it and when he fights, it's like the best part of Mulan. And I can't stand that movie. But anyway, let's go back to here. So here's a real quick review. Don't waste your time.
I haven't.
So
I would say like no, but remind me. That was the only martial art fighting scene he did in Rogue One.
yeah, I think he does something else, but
it's not as pivotal.
It's the majority, right? Because he shoots an arrow, he shoots a gun, and which is weird as well because he's blind, but he's disconnected. But he could have been. But the thing is, he could have been a Jedi, but since there was no instructors,
no mentors,
no teachers, no mentors, no masters, because he was in tune. I mean, how do you see without seeing?
Yeah, no, there's a lot that like he could have been, because that's the thing in the Star Wars lore. Like there are people who are Force sensitive. Doesn't mean that they're Jedi. It just means that they are more in tune to the Force, and they're just not trained. But there are characters that like are like in the Legends lore and the comics, and like they can move stuff using the Force. That doesn't make them a Jedi or a Sith. It just means that they're able to use the Force. They're just not trained particularly. Like there's the great example of this. Like you could argue that he's using the Force in the fight, his final moments when he's walking through a field and they're shooting all around him, and he's chanting like, "I'm one with the Force, and the Force is one with me," all to get to a particular destination, and he's not being hit at all.
You can say that's true in the sense of why many stormtroopers are terrible shots, because what we see is that they're trying to shoot Luke, they're trying to hit Leia, and they're missing, or they're trying to hit the rebellion, but they're missing because the Force is with the rebellion. The Force is helping to protect them. So you can use that as an argument of why they're such terrible shots. Because in the beginning of A New Hope, you have Vader, or not Vader, you have the stormtroopers taking down the rebellion in the entryway easily. Yeah. And now that could be an argument too, saying that since they're terrible shots, maybe Vader's guiding their shots to hit them.
He's like
behind the.
No.
Yeah, maybe he could be, because I was saying, if they're so terrible shots, how come there's no survivors in that entryway?
True.
You know?
Okay, so let's talk about this. In regards to, I think in Rogue One, what they did very successfully was they introduced your crew. It's not like they were all together from the get-go. You get your main character that which is your female lead. She was coming in, and then you have Andor comes in, acquires her with the android, which the android was a fantastic character, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You know who that's played by, right?
I used to.
It's played by Alan Tudyk.
Yes, I love Alan Tudyk. He's a fantastic.
He is amazing. Performer. He is amazing. Yes.
You ever see him do like a serious creepy role? By the way,
I think so. He's too good.
Yeah,
he was in Firefly. He was in.
He does a lot of comedic roles, but like,
right. He was in that one time superhero show, like Superhero Inc., where he was like a relative of Bruce Wayne. So short-lived. So he was like that.
Oh yeah. It was like I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but he was also in a show called Dollhouse.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
You gotta find some scenes from him, because he plays a villain in there, and when he turns, he goes almost psychopathic, like Deadeye killer. And like I remember watching Dollhouse, and I'm like, I'm in and out of the show. But then when he would come on, I was on. Also by Joss Whedon, and it was also a Fox show, I want to say. But to bring it back home, so yes. Tudyk, great actor, great voice work for the android, hilarious. The android had some of the best moments.
Do you know the part where he's with Andor and Jyn, and they're about to walk away from the stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers say, "Hey, turn around! Where you guys going? Where are you taking these prisoners?" They're trying to figure out. I was like, "What? Oh, these prisoners!" And then Andor says something, and then K2SO, which was Alan Tudyk's character, he puts his hands up. He accidentally hits Andor.
Yeah, I remember
that. They kept it in, and you can see Andor like covering his face and taking it down, almost laughing. And then off screen, you see him says, "Sorry for hitting you earlier." So they kept it in, and they fixed it with a little voice over to keep it all connected. And they know that there's callbacks to the originals with like certain lines that they didn't get the chance to say, but they cut off. Like he was about to say, "I have a bad feeling about this," but they told him to shut up.
Yeah.
Instead, before you say it, they used the blueprint of A New Hope, where they got to the point. They didn't waste time. They didn't dilly-dally. They needed to get the plans. Just like in A New Hope, the job was to rescue the princess.
Well, the original plan was like to find out what is the Death Star and stuff, whatnot, and to kidnap the father. But then the father's like, he's like, "No, I built a failsafe for the Death Star. That's really what you need to get."
Well, they had to get to the father, right? They had to get to the father. Through that, they met up with Saul, and then she saw the hologram, which led to him sharing that there's a failsafe.
Yeah.
Regardless, there was a mission. There was a purpose of them being there. We didn't have to figure things out. We didn't have to we knew. We saw it in the beginning, in the sense that laid the groundwork of meeting Jin as a child with her parents, which could be the Kyber crystals. Am I saying it right? Kyber crystals. They needed that to power this Death Star. And the mother had a Kyber crystal. And again, those Kyber crystals is what lights up a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So it could be implied that the mother was a former Jedi, or maybe she was a Padawan. Maybe she was a Padawan training that escaped Order 66.
Or she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Maybe. There's many ways to unravel it, if you will. Besides what happened?
For some reason, that just made me think of George Lucas. Like, in many ways to unravel it, as you will. Like, it's all a matter of perspective.
Oh, please don't start. He's the creator and the destroyer of Star Wars, in my opinion.
He's the Alpha and Omega of Star Wars.
Right. Oh, Omega. Do you have another favorite scene? Because I do.
Okay, so
I know it's been a while since you saw that. I just saw it just minutes before during our review.
True.
In preparation for Andor.
But considering, like, this tells you, like, how much the movie sits with a person when you can start talking about it, like if you saw it like yesterday in a lot of different ways. Like, I remember the scene where we were just talking about Alan Tudyk's character, the android, K2S0, and as comical as that character is, there was a point where it was also an emotional point where he essentially sacrifices himself for the team. Right. As an audience member, even though he's an android you just pretty much met, because the film wasn't overly long either.
No, just shy over, just a little over 2 hours.
Those 2 hours fly by fast in that film. But either way, like, you meet this android for the first time. It's not like he reminds you of like R2D2 or 3CPO. He's his own thing. You feel attached. And like when his character goes, like, you kind of feel lost about that character.
He reminded me of R2D2 with a touch of 3CPO. He's a combination of the two.
He's a combination of the two. I get that. But you can also argue like combo of the two makes your own being, you know?
Of course. No, he had the humor of 3CPO, but he had the
heart of R2.
Exactly right.
So that scene was a pivotal scene for me. Like, it's just stuck with me. Of course, like the end scene where Andor's hugging onto the female lead. I keep forgetting her name. And they're like holding each other. Yes, Jin. There's a lot of tension in that movie also. So there's comical moments, but they do a great job of building tension. Like when Andor has his sights on her and her father with a sniper rifle. His job is basically take the shot, and he chooses not to. But like, there's a tense moment there. Like, you're wondering, is he going to take the shot?
Because we saw him take someone out without a blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's all for the betterment. It's like
the alleyway.
Was the lesser evil, or the loss of one outweighs the loss of many kind of situation. That's the choices he has to make. What was your scene that stuck out with you?
Vader.
Oh, I was saving that one. I was saving that baby.
But that's my favorite. That's my second favorite scene. Like the one with Donnie Yen against the stormtroopers. Amazing, beautiful. Yes. It was poetry in motion. And then you saw the rawness of Vader's attack, his viciousness. Yes. Something we never really see him do.
No, and you know what?
Really see him unleash.
And when you watch that in theaters, tell me, like, the first time you saw it in theaters, were you the only one?
Not expecting it.
Yeah, no one was expecting it.
I wasn't expecting it.
But were you the only one there going, oh? No. In my theater, when that happened and I was watching that with everybody in the first time, there was a roar. Just when the lightsaber went, at that moment, everybody roared, and then he proceeded to decimate everyone in there.
That made me love or re-love Vader again, because the prequels just destroyed my view of Vader. Before the prequels, you have Vader looking like, as a total badass, a total threat to the rebellion, not Palpatine, not the Empire, but Vader was the threat of the rebellion.
He was the one that everybody
And
feared.
right, to see him let loose like that. Now, what caused him to let loose? That could be many reasons of what caused him. Could be because he's angry at Palpatine. Maybe he's angry that he has to leave his Bacta tank. Maybe he's angry that he does not have the love of his life with him again. You can have many reasons why he's so angry, or he's just mad, and there's no explanation for it except for what he's there to do is to get back those plans. Or maybe he's mad because he's cleaning again someone else's mess.
Yeah,
So it could be
he was
multiple
there
reasons
earlier
why
in the
he's
movie,
angry.
but like you said, he was there as a cameo earlier in the movie. He's like, "Don't mess up," and he did the famous choke thing. But like, I get that when you're describing it, he's like, "I'm here to clean someone else's mess, and like I'm gonna just beat some ass."
What makes that scene so good, besides the carnage that he unleashed, is that in A New Hope, when we first see him there, his armor is dirty. It's not shiny. There's like film on top of it, just like he just came out of battle.
Yeah.
So that makes total sense that that's where he just came from, because the ending of Rogue One and to where New Hope begins is practically back to back.
Yeah, it's
you
the
can
same
make
ship.
It so
it's the same ship.
No, of course. And Leia's is dressed the same way, as if they just got the plans. And so Vader tracked them through hyperdrive or light speed. Actually, there's someone on YouTube that did that. I don't know. I can't remember. I saw a while ago that a person edited the end of Rogue One and the beginning of A New Hope
to make it like one film.
Well, a back-to-back scene.
Oh.
Where you see Leia say Hope, and then there's a little cut in, they little add something where Vader's ship is following Leia's ship, and then when she comes out of hyperdrive, they come out of hyperdrive, and then they capture with the electric beam, whatever, and so it goes from there. So that again, seeing the armor does it, because I was wondering, because like that's the only time we see Vader's armor dirty. That is attention to detail that I like. And then you see like they use that same scene as the influence for season 2 of The Mandalorian when Luke shows up. They actually do a side by side, like someone did a couple of people did it on YouTube. A side by side is somewhat similar.
Oh, so they were referencing the activities and the functions of that scene.
Right. There's a time, because there's time where Vader is like grabbing someone with one hand. Luke does it as well. He grabs a droid with one hand, squeezes it, things of that nature. Even though he comes out of the elevator shaft, Luke, Vader is by himself at the end of the hallway and moves forward. Luke comes out and moves forward. So it's like the similarity of stuff. Luke is more elaborate because he's traveling great distances to get to Mando and Grogu. The only scene that I don't agree with is when they show 3PO and R2D2, because 3PO and R2D2 are in Yavin 4.
Yeah.
When all that happens, and then they're on the same ship as Leia. That's fast, because I don't think Leia was with Bail Organa on Yavin 4 at the time. They don't make that connection, or they don't say it. They do talk about Obi-Wan though.
Yeah.
You can check our review on Obi-Wan for those listening and watching, how they missed out on the continuity factor on many times. Yes, I know a Jedi. I don't say his name, but I know a Jedi who worked with me or fought alongside me in the Clone Wars. Doesn't say anything else. Didn't say he rescued my daughter. We worked many times after Order 66. None of that stuff.
He's like, I'm still keeping this secret to my grave.
Now, when Andor comes out, how this is going to take place, because this roughly takes place 19 years after Rogue One, that is, takes place after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Because Leia gets the plans. She's 19. She's supposed to be a twin of Luke. Was around when the rebellion was starting, when they were 10. If you use Obi-Wan as a series, as a time frame, and then Rogue One as a time frame, that's 9 years.
Yeah.
Right? So where does this fall? Is this 3 years prior to Rogue One? Is this 8 years prior to Rogue One? Is it 5 years?
I Googled.
Just now?
I won't tell you if you don't want to know.
Well, tell me.
I mean, it could be wrong. It's
me.
on a Wikipedia.
Okay.
They say 5 years before Rogue One.
Okay, now, I can take that.
It's Wikipedia. It could be wrong.
I mean, I'd rather have that than say before Obi-Wan.
I mean, they don't really say how old the guy is.
Who? Andor?
Yeah.
But Andor's prior to Rogue One. So,
yeah, I know.
You know, like, it seems like the rebellion played the long game, even though Palpatine played the longer game.
True. But I mean, the rebellion's been fighting for 19 years. I mean, if you're watching Bad Batch, they kind of the roots start at year 1.
Organa started it right there. And, Padme was almost like right there to start. Like, oh my God, what have I done? We got to stop this.
Yeah.
So it could be either or. So maybe the birth of the Empire was the birth of the rebellion. So sure. Okay. And they just kept it quiet. I'm okay with that. Fine.
Yeah.
Was there a weak scene for you or a weak moment? Because like I said, for me, it was the 3CPO. Didn't make sense to me. Them being on Yavin 4, where we know they're going to be on Leia's ship.
I mean, I understand why they did it, but they didn't need to have that scene where like they're doing the recordings and everything.
Recordings?
Yeah, where they CGI Princess Leia at the end.
No, that was needed.
That was needed?
I think it was needed because it makes that connection because you see it that she gets the plans, and then from there she gets the plans to R2D2. So you see it like that, who it is. Granted, they could have done a better CGI because she definitely looked like a hunchback. Her eyes were like.
We need to review Hunchback of Notre Dame because I've never seen the movie, and now I feel like you guys are referencing it too much.
Well, no, the eye is like here. One eye is down. One eye is up.
You're referring to everybody to that now.
Some of them look like that.
No, I can't think of any other real bad scenes in that movie though. Like when I think back to it, like all the other scenes were like really solid scenes.
Oh, there's the one I want to talk about. Tarkin. They had the actor who played Tarkin, right?
Yeah.
Because Tarkin passed away long ago. They had a CGI his face on his head. But the guy is way too tall. Tarkin was short.
I thought he was a tall guy.
No, he was short. He was slightly taller than Leia, but way below than Vader. And they made him look tall because he was towering over.
Yeah, they could have easily fixed that engineer. Post.
They could have. They should have.
I mean, voice-wise, he sounded like him.
Oh no, he did great, and I think he got the mannerism. I think pretty well.
Admiral Tarkin's 6'1".
The original?
Yeah. This is from Wikipedia. They have him at 1.85
Peter
meters.
Cushing, who was 5'11".
It's a 2-inch difference.
No, I understand that. But guess what? Guess how high? Well, guess how tall Vader was? He was like 6'6". David Prowse, who played
Darth Vader, stands 6'8".
Oh my God! Well,
Anakin Skywalker stood 6'2".
Okay, well, I'm telling you right now, David Prowse was 6'6". So with the heels on and maybe some lifts, he got to 6'8".
Well, the helmet.
But Vader was a lot taller. No. But yeah, so anyway, right. And fun fact, David Prowse was Christopher Reeve's training coach for Superman. So anyway, yeah, because he towers over Orson in Rogue One. You never saw him with Vader, so you couldn't really get that reference also. So maybe this is a movie worth the watch if you're a Star Wars fan. This is for me multiple watch. I own it, have it on Disney. I have Disney Plus, so I watch it there. And this is a movie I'll always watch prior to
New Hope.
Well, part of my Star Wars lineup. Always watch it. So now this, I am so looking forward to how they do Andor, how his circle becomes part of the rebellion, or how he gets part of the rebellion. And you have an all-star cast. You have people reprising their roles. You have new characters coming in. So I'm just totally excited to see what they're going to do and how they bring it. Because I'm sorry, so far out of this being the fifth Star Wars series coming out, because you have Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Visions, Obi-Wan, now Andor. And right now, the only thing that I love is the Mandalorian. Second is Visions. Third is Obi-Wan, and then Boba Fett. I wonder where Andor is going to place. And something tells me it's going to be either right below Mando or tied or take the lead.
I would like it to take the lead.
I wouldn't mind it either. I would love to see it take the lead because I don't know. Everything looks good, but what previews show doesn't mean the series. The series could be down the tubes. I'm looking forward to it either way. Now, I won't watch the season. I'll probably do what I've been doing is probably binge it. But maybe I'll see this because there's 3 episodes premiering back to back.
Get the initial feel.
So maybe I'll see that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any final thoughts?
As far as the movie goes, it's worth the watch. Absolutely. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you've seen it before, you probably want to see it. I don't know if you want to see it before watching Andor or watching it after Andor, but you're probably going to want to watch it again. It's definitely worth a watch.
Also, I mean, to go back to the scenes and the action scenes, because again, we gave our 2, Donnie Yen, Vader, but you gotta say that the final scene, the climactic scene, it's pretty damn good with the planes fighting on the beach, just like a World War II or a World War One scene on the fighting on the beaches. It's pretty damn intense. It was done very well. The choreography and the fights and the air fights. It was very. It felt like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
it had that same feel of an old Star Wars. It felt like
it showed a Star Wars movie that did not have to have the Skywalkers.
Yeah, right.
So it was, except for Vader.
Exactly
Vader
right.
wasn't there, but you know what I mean.
But the feel of the end of this was the same feel of Return of the Jedi, where they're trying to invade Endor. They're trying to get there to open for the shields. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing. They had to
minus the Ewoks.
Oh, thank God. They had to do the same thing to get the plans that be able to. They had to do that in return, where they had to destroy the shields for they can demolish the rebellion.
Yep.
Yeah, or the Empire, not the rebellion, the Empire. The parallels are there, and I'm all for it. I'm glad this movie came up. I'm glad this movie was made. All right, well, guys, that is it for us. This is our sensational review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. If you have any comments you'd like to share, please comment below. If you agree or disagree with us, we would love to hear your thoughts. Please don't hesitate. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.
We have spoken.